So today's session is going to be on how to register if you want to register your business or a company in India. So what are the steps that you need to follow? So आज का सेशन उसके ऊपर रहेगा. Because it's not like कि आप लोग सीधा मार्केट में गए एंड आपने कहीं पे बैठ गए और अपना सामान बेचना चालू कर दिया. इट्स नॉट हैपन लाइक दैट. ठीक है. बिकॉज आई अंडरस्टैंड जो भी यहाँ पे इस सेशन में लोग हैं, they have a proper business plan, right? And they want to start their business. So there are certain steps जिसको, and that is why India में we are still Indian government, state government, they are trying to minimize all these steps, right? And that is what it is called as the ease of doing business. So India still ranks quite low in ease of doing business ranking, but still we have done well in last couple of years under the Modi government. So they have really minimized all the difficulties that is been comes when anyone wants to do a business, right? So we'll start with that. So I guess we can start. It's 3 or 4, 5, right? So all those who want to join have joined now, and we are also live on YouTube. So those who are missing, they can just go to the YouTube channel of ESL GLA University and see this presentation, see this session. So first of all, if you have a good confidence or a startup idea, you have done all the steps that we have seen in last couple of days. Like for example, you have evaluated your idea, you have made the business plan, business model canvas, you have made a business plan also, right? You have a team. So now you can say that, yes, I am ready for executing my business, right? So it's always a good way to, it's a very bad idea to start or register your startup if you're into a legal entity, if you're not very ready with your plan, right? The reason why I'm saying that is because when you register as a legal entity, there are number of compliances, legal compliances, for example, filing taxes, filing the regular meetings, regular meeting MOM, then filing different compliances to various authority, right? So that comes into the picture. So that is why when you register as a legal entity, ensure that you are ready with all your plan, right? So one golden rule, you can say that get validation from sample customer for your MVP, which is nothing but a minimum viable product, right? Or minimum viable prototype. So it's, you can run your business in short sample size. For example, you have built something, right? So you can just execute in a sample batch size, which we call, right? So you can execute your business in a university, right? You can give your sample product to the students and asking them to use your product and get the first hand feedback of on your product, right? And once you get the validation, right, you can go for the legal entity registration. Okay. Then what is meant by startup? So this is what the definition by Startup India, Government of India initiative, right? So this is what the definition. There are many long list of different factors also, but typically this is what the definition says. A startup typically means a company that is in first stage of its operation. Startup is a young company that is just beginning to develop, right? Startups are usually small, initially financed. That is also no, there is a term called as a bootstrap, right? And operated by a handful of founders or one individual, right? So if it is a one individual startup, then it is also called as a OPC 1% company, right? But it's not the case because 95 and 99% startups, they are having at least 2 to 4 founders, right? So then these companies offer product or services that is not currently being offered elsewhere in the market, right? Or if even if it is offered, it is in inferior manner. Means there are very fewer such product or such services that exist in the market. And that is why we are saying that innovation is a big thing, a very important factor in any startup. And this is what the bare minimum requirement to start a business in India, right? Like for example, you need to have a shop and establishment license for startup registration, right? This is actually based on from the state to state and local administration, because this shop and establishment license, you do not get it from the central government, you get it from the local administration, that is the municipal corporation, right? And it is different in some, like for example in Maharashtra, this is also known as Gumasta certificate, right? Then different states has different certificates, like, but the name of that certificate is nothing but a shop and establishment license for doing a business, for any business, right? Not just startup, any business. So probably if you go to any shops, local shops, you probably have seen some licenses, some certificates that is framed in their background, right? In some wall of that shops. That is nothing but one certificate is you will find everywhere. One is that shop and establishment license. Then MSME registration, right? You can go for MSME registration also. You're registering your business as a medium and small scale enterprise. Then Udyog Aadhaar registration, like for example, just like an individual have their Aadhaar card registration, there MSME also have a Udyog Aadhaar registration, right? And there are different advantage of that, having a Udyog Aadhaar registration. When you want to get some government contract, when you're filling some government tenders, that Udyog Aadhaar registration is very important. GST nowadays, if you are doing any businesses, right? So you should have at least GST registration. There is a like if your turnover is more than 15 lakhs, then you are required to GST registration. Otherwise, you can skip the GST as well, right? But it's good to have a GST registration. Then other licenses that is required is based on what type of businesses you are into. For example, if you want to open a restaurant or food-based business, you may need to have a FSSAI license. Or for example, if you want to open a pharmacy shop, then you need to have a license from the pharmaceutical department, right? And it is generally given to only pharma graduate or undergraduate also, like one way you need to have a diploma in pharmacy or B Pharma, right? And there are many other businesses which require different type of license. So that depends on what type of businesses you are into. Now, registering as a legal entity. Now remember that again, every type of business need not have to register themselves as a private limited company, right? There are different forms of businesses of legal entity as well that you are going to see in next slide, right? So this is what the type of business structures in India, right? Many of the time, any startup founders or anyone want to do a business, they generally think that we need to start our own company as a private limited company, right? So kindly see what is the objective of your business, right? Whether it is really required to have a private limited company to achieve your goal. If it is, then only go for it. Or else you find what is the rightly suited business structure for your idea, for your business idea, right? And that is why it's good to consult with one good financial advisor or a chartered accountant or some company secretariat. It's always good to discuss or consult with them, or you can discuss anyone who knows all this stuff, right? So kindly find what is the best suited business structure for your startup, for your business, right? Not only startup, for your business. Okay. So these are the 5 main categories of companies you can register. So one is the sole proprietorship, one is the one person company, also known as OPC. You can register your company as a partnership firm, right? You can register as a limited liability company, also known as LLP, right? Or you can register your company as a which is very popular, private limited company. Okay. And if you want to register, if you are like planning directly, which is I guess very difficult for any first generation entrepreneur. So even if you are directly going to the public sharing platform, like for example BSE, NSE, right? So you want to list your company, so then the form of that company would be public limited, right? So generally, when any company is filing for IPO, they change themselves to a public limited company. So they'll be only limited. So they'll not be privately limited, because the part of their shares will now be available to public, right? So for example, many of the recently startup founders, startup companies, they are going for IPO, right? So before going to IPO, they change their legal structure to public limited company. Okay. Then what do you mean by sole proprietorship? So we'll go one by one. What are the different types of businesses are? So number one is sole proprietorship. So sole proprietorship is the easiest form of company registration in India. One person is the sole ownership of the whole entity, right? Or also called as sole proprietor. And basic advantage of having a sole proprietorship is no government registration is required apart from just getting one sole proprietorship. Then no compliances to be filled, right? No government regulatory paperwork. So like for example, you don't need to report to the MCA about the AGMs, about the financials, budgets, right? Financial annual documents, right? All profits earned are yours. You do not require double taxation. Double taxation means the GST and the income tax, right? This is called as a double taxation. Like for one thing only, you are paying twice, right? So, like for example, this is called as a double taxation. So, do not require double taxation. Pay income tax return only on your income. So, whatever the income you are generating out of that business, you have to pay the income tax return only, right? Then there will be no any other tax for sole proprietorship apart from income tax only, right? Now, generally, this type of businesses are with the family businesses. Like for example, many family they own the jewelry shops, right? They have certain businesses which are like set up by their fathers and grandfathers. So they know that this is what their business is. They are not going to go into in next level, right? And they have a certain heritage attached to it. So that's why they only go for sole proprietorship, right? So this is generally for applicable to family businesses. Okay. Then one person company. This is a type of business structure. It was introduced by Indian government in 2013. Right. Now let us see what are the key advantage of having a one person company. Now here, please note that I am just highlighted the key advantage of all this structure. So based on that, whatever suits you, whatever suits your company or whatever suits your plan, you can go for that structure, right? I'm not writing down any disadvantage, because there is no disadvantage of any type of structure, right? You can compare advantages and then you can decide. What are the advantages of OPC? Number one, if it will be an incorporated company, like for example, you will for private limited company, they get a CIN number, company identification number. So your OPC will also get a CIN number, right? So it will help the entrepreneurs, but it will limit their liabilities, right? And also avail certain tax benefits, right? So in OPC, there is only one director which holds 100% of the company, 100% shares of the company is with one director only. Lesser compliances like compared to private limited, right? Then limited liability for the directors. The reason is there is only one director, right? So the meaning is the owner's personal asset won't be at risk even in the event of an unfortunate event risk. So unfortunate event. For example, like let us say that I have a OPC, right? One person company registered in my name, and I also have in my individual capacity the personal asset. For example, I have some loans. Sorry, I have a home. I have some lands, right? So even if my business gets fall, no one like government cannot recover it through my personal asset, right? So my personal assets won't be at risk even if my company fails, right? This is what this point is. Then legal recognition, like I said, you will get a CI number, you will get a proper registration number, proper certificate, right? Then it is easier to get loans from banks as compared to sole proprietorship, because in sole proprietorship it is very difficult to get a loan from banks. But if you have OBC, you can get a loans from banks under various schemes. Then complete control of the company is with you, because you are only director and you hold the 100% equity of the company. It is easy to manage. The reason, obvious reason, is because there are lesser compliance compared to a private limited company. Okay. And what is meant by partnership firm? So, for example, if you decide to have a partners in your business, right? That is easiest way to go ahead with a partnership firm, where there is a partnership deed, right? For example, there will be a proper agreement. You can add some points, you can delete some point based on mutual agreement, right? And you can also like put some if and buts also. Like, for example, if this happens, so this is what going to happen, right? For example, if your business turnover gets to this level, what will be the percentage share? How the profit will be shared, right? If your company is going into loss, so who is going to go for who is going to get what percentage of loss is going to incurred by whom, right? These are all can be put in one partnership deed, which will be a legal document, right? So basis of a partnership firm is that deed, partnership deed, which can be updated as well, right? So that is what a partnership firm is. So key advantage of partnership firm is, sorry. So a key advantage of partnership firm is it is easy and convenient to form, right? Risk is shared between your partners. So whatever the business risk involved, it will be shared with your partners, right? You don't need to submit annual returns to MCA. Whereas in case of private limited, you need to submit annual returns to the Ministry of Corporation Affairs. MCA is nothing but a Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Then statutory audit is not mandatory, whether in case of private limited, it is mandatory to have an audit. Easy to wind up. For example, if you want to close your business, so it's easy to wind up this partnership firm. There is a lot of flexibility compared to the private limited, right? So this is what the advantage of partnership. Now, what is meant by limited liability company, or also known as LLP? So a limited liability company takes the advantage of other business structure company. For example, LLC is entitled as a flexible business structure, and one can also get the benefits whatever offered under the Startup India. Because if you are having a LLP, you can register yourself as a DPIIT register recognition, and you can register under Startup India. Whereas for the other different structure that we just see, for example, sole proprietorship, partnership, OPC, you cannot able to register yourself as a startup. You cannot get DPIIT registration, right? But whereas LLP, you can get a DPIIT registration recognition under Startup India. Okay, and once you register as a Startup India, you get lot of advantage, right? For example, you get a 3 years tax benefit, right? You get priority when there is a government tender, and many others advantage, right? So what are the advantages of LLP? The paperwork in LLP is much lesser. When I am saying LLC, it is nothing but a LLP. Okay. So paperwork in LLP is much lesser as compared to other registration. This makes it very flexible and easier to form. LLP keep their members safe from liability like personal debt and legal hearing, right? Then it also provides flexibility from income, expenditure, profit become the part of owner's tax return, right? Then LLP, you can also you not need to have follow the business structure to rule one organization. Like, for example, when you go for a private limited company, you need to have a proper SOPs, or you need to have a proper documentation. So that is not really required in LLP, although it is always good to follow all the formats, all the SOPs, right? But in LLP, you have a flexibility of not following the business structure as others, right? Then profit sharing is also flexible in LLP. let us come to very popular structure, right? I'll straight away tell you why this private limited company business structure is popular. The only reason is because if you want to raise funding from the different VCs, different angel investors, you can only raise funds when you are registered as a private limited company, right? Why? Because you can like share the share of company is easily transferable to other person, right? And that is why this private limited this type of business structure, which is private limited company, is very popular among startups, right? Now let us just once again see what is meant by this. So this company, private limited company, is a type of company that has a minimum of 2 directors, or maximum there can be 200 members, right? So again, so there can be a company where there are 200 directors, right? It is possible, right? As per the company's law. Then, as the name suggests, it cannot raise fund from the public, right? Means you cannot go for the at BSC, right? Means your company cannot publicly issue the shares. There is no paid up capital required now to set up an private limited company. That means earlier you need to have a proper like say that this company owns this much of capital. Now, even if at zero paid up capital, you can set up your company. Okay. So earlier it was like you need to tell that this much of asset, for example, an office or whatever the fund, some 10,000 to 10 lakh, 1 lakh to 10 lakh, right? So paid up capital now it is not required. Okay. Now, what are the key advantage of having a private limited company? Number one is the liability of the company ownership respect to the company debt is only limited to his or her share. Okay. Then, like I said, whenever you are want to raise funding, you can easily transfer the share of the company to other person. Like for example, if I am interested to invest 10 lakh rupees in your company, and if I am asking that I should get at least 10% of the share of the company, then you can easily transfer, you can easily add my name into the shareholding pattern, and I'll be qualified for 10% share of the company, right? Company can issue debentures and can receive funds from the public platform also, right? Thus making it easier to raise fund, right? There are different convertibles nowadays, right? Debentures, like you can go to certain platforms, raise fund. Once you raise the fund, you can you not publicly, you can issue that amount, that debenture, whatever you have disclosed when you are raising that fund. So on public platform, you can raise the fund, right? There are many platforms which allows also business company to raise funding. Okay. Like for example, in USA, the Kickstarter is a very popular platform where companies are raising funds through that, right? Then different tax benefits are but for that you need to register yourself as a Startup India under DPIIT under Startup India recognition. Okay, so there are many tax benefit which are there, but remember that there will be a lot of compliances as well, right? So once there are advantage, only disadvantage is that you need to have a very strong documentation. You need to have very strong reporting. You need to have a strong compliances, okay, of your private limited company. So please remember that. Okay. How to register a private limited company? So I assume that many of you want to raise fund from the different VCs, angel investors, right? So I am considering that how you want to register yourself as a private limited. So what are the steps? So number one will be you need to obtain a director identification number for all the directors in your company. So DIN is generally a unique code that is given to the directors of company, and for that you need to have a PAN card. Okay. Then other documents are Aadhaar card, bank statement, phone, electricity bill, whatever as required for getting the DIN number, which is director identification number, right? Once you have a DIN number for all the directors of that company, okay, you need to draft MOA and AOA. MOA means Memorandum of Association. AOA means Article of Association. MOA and AOA are nothing but is going to like tell the Ministry of Corporate Affairs MCA that what this company is all about. So MOA generally states the objective of the company, while AOA specifies the rules and regulation of the company. So it's a very general document which you can also go through. So most of the CAs they have a ready-made format of MOA and AOA for different type of businesses, right? They just ask you what type of business you want to register or which sector you are in. They just open that folder and just copy paste the whole MOA and just replace the names of directors and company name and they file up for it, right? So, but it is always good to have review that MOA and AOA before your CA or whoever you are going through that agents or agency. Before they file MOA and AOA on your behalf, you should also go through it. Okay. Then now file the application through spicy form on the MC website. So all this process you yourself can also do, but since this is a very financial and processes, so it's always good to get help from the CA or CS, okay, or anyone who knows all this stuff, right? Or else there are like for like many of this nowadays going to YouTube and just watching some videos. You can also do that, but many times you may commit some mistakes. So generally, like uh, 10 to 12,000 are required whenever you want to all this for all this process. So it's always suggested that you should pay for it. Okay, instead of going through by your own, take help of CA and CS. Okay. And once you submit the form, uh, before you submit the form, you need to check the company name availability. Okay. And after company, once you inquire for the company name, that name will be blocked for 28 days, right? So in 28 days, you need to register that company with that name. If you fail to do that, that name will be available to register for any other company, right? That is what called as a like you know you are saving, you are securing your name for that company. Okay. Next is any businesses, whatever the business structures that we see. So business person should have a clear idea of the type of legal compliances she or he is willing to take care or deal with. Some business structure are investor friendly. For example, the private limited are mostly investors prefer to invest in the private limited type of business structure. The others are complicated. The investor will prefer to go with a legal and recognized business structure only. So if you do not have any legal company registered, no investor will be investing in you saying that I'll give you a personal loan of 10 lakh or I'll give you a personal loan of 50 lakh, right? No investor will give you any type of personal loan or any type of personal funding, right? Investor always invest in company, right? By seeing the founders team, by seeing the startup team, they'll invest in a company. Okay. Most of the investors in VC prefer private limited type of company, and only reason is you can easily transfer the shares of that company. Okay. Now, important question is for any entrepreneur before they register their company is that should your initial investment influence your business structure choice? So whatever, how much amount you have, or like for example, whether you are going for directly relying on the external funding or you have your own funding with you. Like for example, if you are running a family business, go for sole proprietorship, go for partnership firm, right? Why you are requiring a private limited company? If you are not intending to raise fund from an external source, you do not require need to have a private limited company. Okay. Now, what are income tax rates for each business? So just check the income tax website. What are the different rates for each type of business structure, right? How many partners or owners your business is going to have? Like for example, if you are thinking that I am going to do all things, I am going to hire some employees, but everything should be with me only. I am not trusting anyone else, right? Then go for OPC, go for one person company. Okay. But if you are thinking that I require a person who is going to take care of technology, then when they are require some person who is going to take care of finance, then you should have a co-founder, right? So one person will be called as CTO, one person may be called as CFO, one person may be called as CMO, and you can call yourself a CEO. Okay. तो सीईओ वो होता है जिसको कुछ नहीं करना पड़ता है, ठीक है, जो सिर्फ बैठ के देखते रहता है, he is just observing. So it is just like a joke in the startup company, the startup world. So CTO is the one, CTO का full form होता है Chief Technology Officer. So CTO is the one who looks after the whole technology part of the business. CMO is generally the Chief Managerial Officer. Then CFO is generally Chief Financial Officer, who is look after all the finances. And CEO actually looks after the whole execution of it. That's why the name is Chief Execution Officer. Okay. So CEO is generally the job of the very important position in any company is CEO. The reason is the guy who is responsible to run all the show. Okay. So that is what a CEO position is. Then are you willing to bear the entire business liability? This is also again a question. What are plans for getting the amount from investor? So if you plan to get some investment, not initially, but in future, if you require, it's always good to have a private limited firm. Even if you at initial stage, you do not require it. Okay. That clarity must be there. Now, how to register company? These are again different steps, right? To obtain a DSC digital signature certificate, right? Then DIN, file a registration form, e-form on the MCA website, and go for incorporating your company. So generally it takes around 20 to 25 days to register a company, right? Based on like how fast your CA or how busy is your CA, okay? Or if you want to go for by your own, then go by your own also. You can just follow all the instruction steps available on the MCA website, and you can register your company by your own, okay? And this is what the Startup India recognition and its benefit, right? So, like I said, the company which is incorporated as a private company or registered as a partnership firm or also limited private company (LLP), they only be eligible to apply for getting the DPIIT registration, which is also called as Startup India recognition. Then the other eligibility are that company shall be considered a startup up to 10 years from date of incorporation. Okay. This rule has recently changed. So again, I haven't gone through that, but it has changed. The definition is a bit changed in recently, in last month only, there was one circular which is defining the age of businesses to be called as a startup. Okay. So I'll update this, but you can consider that generally it is a 10-year of operation. Then turnover of an entity of any financial year should not cross 100 crore. Okay. So obvious reason is if you have already crossed 100 crore of rupees revenue in any financial year, you cannot be called as a startup India, and you do not require any type of benefits. Then startup should be working towards innovation, development, or improvement of product or processes and services. So whatever you are doing, the important factor is there should be some innovation. That innovation can be purely inventory based, means you have invented something. That innovation can be on product, that invention can be on processes, that innovation can be on services, or it can be a innovative scalable business model. Okay. And all these details guideline is given on the website. The link is given in this slide also, or you can just explore the startupindia.gov.in website. Okay. Okay. Then these are the benefits of having your startup registered. So you get 50% rebate in when you file for patent application. Once you register, you get recognition. You can also apply for tax exemption, right? So generally, even after getting the recognition, you need to separately apply for tax absolution. Okay. And startup can avail tax holiday for 3 years. And post that, after getting the certification from the different interministerial body boards, you can again increase this tax holiday also. Okay. Then startup gets the priority in getting the tenders. I already explained this part. Moreover, they are not required to have experience. So even if they are not having experience, they get government tenders. Then government has allocated funds of fund to infuse more capital into startup. So there is a scheme called as Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, wherein startups are getting fund from 20 lakhs to 50 lakh. Okay. And this scheme has been running for, I guess, almost since last 2 years. And many startups has got a great advantage out of that scheme. The name of that scheme is Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. SISFS is the name of it. Government has set up a corpus of 10,000 crore for 4 years, and it is nothing but a plan to that fund scheme also, Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. From such fund, government invests in various startups. Government also giving guarantee to the lenders to encourage banks and other financial institutions for providing venture capital. And that is why India nowadays you will see so many venture capital firm opening, and they are investing in startup. Okay, this is what benefits of registering yourself as a startup India. Now, if you have any question, you can feel free to ask all the questions. Even if it is not related to this presentation, you can ask the questions. Anyone have any question? You can just raise your hand. I'll also allow you to unmute yourself. You can unmute now. I guess there are no questions, right? So I'll share this presentation PDF document with all of you. And before that, I'll also again share with you the feedback link. So kindly fill the feedback for today's session. The PDF of this presentation will be shared with all of you. Feedback form for today's session. Thank you. Please remember there will be one session on Lean Startup, which is a very important tool for startup, Lean Canvas. So what I have explained, that is a business model canvas, and I have introduced one slide which was on Lean Canvas. Although I haven't like gone through the every part of it, but there is a Lean Canvas tools also. There will be a session on 22nd of August, right? So I request all of you can join that session. Okay. Thank you so much. I guess there will be no question. So kindly please fill this feedback form. I posted in chat. Okay. So thank you so much for today's session. We'll once again meet you for tomorrow.